Howdy folks, Jim coming at you again. It's been a little while since I've been busy. We got about 5 gardens we're trying to manage. Ooh, the weeds are coming on. Potatoes are doing good. Some of the corn's doing good. I tell you what, I planted a bunch of half-runner beans. I had 3 rows, I had 1 bean come up. Hand planted these things. But we got a hold of some Missouri Wonder beans and got them planted, and every single one of those came up. So we have to hold some back for seed because you can't buy them anymore. But we had a little connection. The reason I wanted to talk to you today, we had a first ever, I call it Church in Action meeting, CIA, Monday. I had written a letter and called for all the churches in the area to come together. I've emailed, texted, messenger, put it on the radio, written letters for the churches to come together. Now, not just come together, but there's a reason, there's a goal here. For one, churches nowadays, if you try to have a prayer group, you're wasting your time because you got 1 or 2 people who are serious about praying. I want to try to hook those up with the other people in the other churches and get them together. Number 2 is we as a community of believers need to come together. Not just to come together to say, hey, we're together, but to start exercising, I'll say it this way, kingdom control in our areas. Give you an example. One of the guys, we only had 4 churches represented, maybe 3 at our meeting. Anyway, one of the guys, we're here in Richlands, he wanted us to open up a restaurant in Richlands, and it's kind of a different restaurant. It's really kind of a non-profit restaurant. It's not a soup kitchen, but it's kind of a non-profit thing. He's got these ideas. He already owns the building space. He owns it. And he goes to the town manager to get you gotta have a permit for everything, man. You gotta pay taxes on everything to get a permit. But they won't give him the permit. And the town manager told him that he didn't like the churches being in Richlands. He wished they would leave because they don't pay taxes. Now we live here, there's a church all over the places down in here. You can't get these people together to get people like that out. And these people are ruling the roost. And what do the church people do? They stick their head in the sand or go home and complain. And you know, I'm wringing my hands here because it makes me furious, because we're the church, we're supposed to be the light of the world. Why aren't we running the school boards? Can you explain that to me? I mean, surely to goodness, I see Vacation Bible School signs all over, and we can get together and we can do all of this stuff, but we don't really care what our kids are being taught in school. We'll leave that to somebody else. We could control who's on the school boards. We could control who our mayors are. We could control who our sheriffs are. All of these things, if Christians would just come together. Okay, we have leaders amongst each one. I'm not looking for a position. I got a full-time job, or we're working 5 gardens, and I pastor a church, and that's not my calling. Okay, so I don't want you to think, but I know there are other people out there that it is their calling. It is where they should be. But I'm looking for excuses of why that we can't go. What, are we too busy? We don't care. Maybe rotten theology, we're just going to fly out of here. Meanwhile, our country is falling apart. You know, I just seen yesterday that Smithfield Foods, I didn't know this, Smithfield Foods, I think they started in the early 1900s. They're closing down 2 plants in California, the biggest producers of pork in the United States. Guess who owns them now? China. They're closing them down, going back to China. 1,800 workers. the biggest distributor of pork in the United States, closing down. What are we doing? Nothing. We'll just sit and complain about it. This, there's been a shortage on the baby food, and then this one plant just came back online. Guess what happened yesterday? They just flooded. They're back offline. So you thought the baby food shortage was going to be over, and mysteriously the plant flooded, out of commission again. All kinds of other shortages going on. I know that people probably laughed at Noah when he was building the ark because it wasn't raining. And you go out here and you toot the horn and you send out the emails, you send out all this stuff. Nobody responds. And I don't understand that. I heard this morning that one of the biggest churches in Richlands went and had a hot dog sale over by the farmer's market. If you guys know where that is, back at the police station parking lot. Wasn't hurting nobody. They had permission to do it. They had great turnout. And the town of Richlands comes to them and says, you'll never be allowed to do that again. Now, why are these people running the show? Tell me that. We had elected officials down there. Every one of them resigned, and now they're all appointed positions. We don't have any Christians doing anything, and everybody just sits back. And you can't even get the church together. I guess maybe I should go out and buy a bunch of chicken legs, and then maybe, I don't know. I'm just rambling on here. I get very frustrated. Do people not see what is happening? We're losing our children. The government is taking everything that we have. If we could control the local stuff, we could control the bigger stuff. I'm amazed at how much money is spent on elections. I'm not in Georgia, we're here in Virginia, and Herschel Walker's running against Warnock down there. And they just dumped a bunch of money in Warnock's campaign. They say, help us get Herschel Walker elected by sending your money here. So basically what you're telling me is elections no more are based on a person's merit, but elections are based on who spends the most money. So we have billions of dollars being spent on elections, and I'm paying $5 stinking a gallon for gas. Now you explain that to me. I mean, $6, $7, $8 for a pound of bacon. They tell me that I'll be paying $12 if I want to buy a dozen eggs. Can you believe that? And what's Christians doing? Playing our little church things. Let me tell you something. We are God's sons, believers of the Most High. The Holy Spirit has been given to us. We are the bringers of the kingdom of heaven to the earth. When are we going to get our heads out of our butts and start being who we're supposed to be? He told Joshua, everywhere the sole of your foot is, you tread, I've given it to you. But we don't walk. We don't do anything. I don't understand it. Listen, we're going to have another meeting. Share this video. Many people told me, hey, we'll be there. And they don't show. Everybody's too busy. The next meeting we're going to have will be at 6:30 at our church again. I'll put out some more videos between now and then. It'll be July the 11th. That's on a Monday, 2022, CIA, Church in Action meeting. There is so much that we can do if you guys would just join me and come together, begging and pleading. Man, we can change our community, we can change our town, we can change our schools, we can change our family, we can change our country. If not, it's going down. It's going down. And look, I'm here preaching to you, and there's a cloud good over my head, and it's starting to rain. But you know what? They say it never rains on the railroad. So I want to read you a verse here. This is out of the Message Bible, 1 Samuel chapter 8. Israel was wanting a king. Israel was wanting a king. Every 4 years, we want a new king in America, a new king. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. It doesn't matter if it's Brandon or Trump or whoever. They want a king. Let me tell you who our real king is, the Lord Jesus Christ. And we have taken him and removed him from our schools, from our hospitals, from our politics, from our government, from our homes, from our tables, everywhere he's been removed. We want another king. You know, Brandon says, hey, we'll let science be our king. We'll let science be our guide. That's why our country is crashing, why it's going down. Let me tell you, Samuel the prophet's warning. Big thunder. That means you better listen to what I got to say here. So Samuel told them and delivered God's warning to the people who were asking him to give them a king. And he said, this is the way the kind of king you're talking about operates. He'll take your sons and make soldiers of them, chariotry, cavalry, and infantry. Chariotry, in other words, they'll be in the chariots. Regimented in battalions and squadrons. He'll put some to forced labor on his farms, plowing and harvesting, and others to make either weapons of war or chariots in which he can ride in luxury. Think on that. He'll put your daughters to work as beauticians and waitresses and cooks. He'll constrip your best fields and vineyards and orchards and hand them over to his special friends. He'll tax your harvest and vintage to support his extensive bureaucracy. Your prize workers and best animals he'll take for his own use. He'll lay a tax on your flocks and you'll end up no better than slaves. The day will come when you will cry in desperation because of this king that you so much wanted for yourselves, but don't expect God to answer. And you know what God did? He gave them their king. And you know what God has done to the United States? He's gave you your king. And until the church puts her foot down and says, we're not taking this anymore, and we're going to rise up and we're going to take it back, starting with our local elections, our local officials, then guys, it is over. And 100 years from now, 200 years from now, people will be coming here and they'll be paying $2 to visit the ruins of what was once called the Great American Dream, the Great American Country. Why? Because we handed it over. We handed it over. Playing a little church games, doing a little church things, and not even coming together. We got enough church people in this community alone, right here in Tazewell County, to take over Tazewell County. Right here, every position. We can have believers of the Most High and people praying for those believers right here in this community. But the churches is too busy, too preoccupied. I'm telling you what, join me. Join me, I dare you, join me July the 11th. Let me know you're gonna be there. I'll put some more out. And daggone tell everybody, get off your hind ends and let's get out here. Let's do something. I know I'm talking a little bit of rough right here, but the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. God bless you. Be there.